Okay, I have here my array lesson, right, which we went over a minute ago, and I have a string called word that contains giraffe, which I don't care about. I have a print command for that, which I don't care about. Actually, I'm just going to dump those altogether so they're not confusing. So at this point, what I have is a array that contains a bunch of words. How many words? 5, which means that the last index is 4, and the first index is 0. And then here I have print commands for all of these things. Is this a viable method by which to print an array every time? How many elements can you store in an array? Lots. Really a lot. You do not want to have to write down a line for each and every single element in the array if you have hundreds, right? You want an easy way to dump what's in the array. So I think we need to comment all this junk out and come up with a better way. So in good keeping, I'm going to comment here, print an array using a for loop. Not an array, the array. Okay. So here's how a for loop works. You say for, then parentheses, then curly braces. No semicolons. Not here. Not yet. Okay. So, and this is the part that gets wild. In here, there are 3 things. There's a variable declaration and initialization step. So I'm going to make an integer, I, that I'm going to start at 0. Boom. Cool. So that I is what's going to go through the array for me. You guys see these numbers that I have down here? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Those are going to be the numbers I'm going to make I cycle through. Right? So I'm going to send I on a walk through the array. So I'm going to start at 0, naturally. You guys see why I want an int and not a float? Okay, good talk. All right, so I'm going to start an integer I at 0. How long do I want I to go for?
5.
Yeah, I want I to be strictly smaller than 5.
Less than or equal to.
No. Okay, let's try it. No, let's not. I'll show you in a second. Another semicolon. So it's a variable initializer, right? Declarate and initialize variable. Then it's a condition for stopping, and then it's a incrementation. So I want i's to start at 0, go up to 5, not including 5, and go up by, you want them to go up by 1, right? So here you do I. Okay, so there are a variety of ways you could do this. I'm going to do the obvious one first, and then I'll show you alternative. So I is I plus 1. Right, so I is going to go up by 1 every time the for loop executes. You guys cool with this? Okay. Those are the 3 things that always go in a for loop. You can make a for loop work without some of these things. I am never going to show you that because I want you to do good coding and just use a for loop the way it's intended. Okay? So, for, initialize and declare. Sorry, declare and initialize. Duh. Condition and incrementation. Those are the 3 steps that always go with a for loop. And then, what do you want to do? Print line. And then this should be chill, because this is going to be the line that you were copy and pasting earlier. You guys all see that? So what do I want to put in here? I. Okay, cool. Let's do it. So what do I expect this to do?
Print the array over and over again?
Yeah, this probably should print the array, right?
Oh, wait, no, it's only
No.
the whole thing, not over and over.
No.
Prints the numbers.
Yeah, this is kind of broken. I just made a logic error. See, look, it prints 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why does it print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4?
You haven't set the numbers equal. Yeah.
Because you told it to, dude. Right? Like, that's what you told it to print. You told it to print I. What did you mean to tell it to print?
Words?
You meant to tell it to print the words element in the I slot. You guys see that?
Yeah.
So this line should be almost exactly what you were copy and pasting, right? You guys see that? It's basically the same thing. What's the difference?
Index.
Yeah, instead of copy and pasting and manually changing the number, I'm using a variable to let the computer change the number for me. This is literally why computers were invented. To do repetitive, silly tasks like this. So if you find yourself copy and pasting, you are doing it wrong. It's not to say it's ineffective, it's just inelegant. Cool? Alright, so if I push go, I should get the words in the array. Giraffe, steak, camel, kartoffel, octothorpe. And again, I'm not entirely clear what your theme was, guys. And only once. Why did they not keep printing?
So you said the it's not a draw.
Yeah, there's no infinite loop here, right? There's no draw method. You guys see that? There's just the one loop. So what mode am I operating in right now? No. This is static mode. Active mode is the one with the draw loop.
Okay.
This one's static mode.
Could you find a way to reset it like on
Oh yeah, we could definitely make this print infinitely many times. That would be totally doable. If you wanted to do that, you would just... Well, okay, let's play with this initial thing. So I want it to print a whole bunch of times, right? So first things first, I might try like, if I is bigger than -1, keep going.
Is it processing? Does it safeguard against this kind of thing?
Kind of.
Kind of.
So let me try this. What do I expect this to do?
Printed a whole bunch.
Maybe print it a whole bunch?
Well, I think it might
It's
error.
gonna stop after octothorpe
Why is it going to stop after octothorpe?
because there's no fit index.
Yeah, so let's go through this, right? So starting at 0, is 0 bigger than -1?
Yes.
Yup. So it's going to do the loop, and when it gets to the end, it's going to add 1. So first it puts 0 into the words array and prints it out. What are you going to get? You're going to get the word giraffe out, right? Then I is going to become 1. Is 1 bigger than -1?
Yes.
Yep, so it's going to go do the loop again. So it's going to put 1 into the words array and then print that out. So it's going to print
Steak.
steak. Because whatever. And then it's going to go to 2. Is 2 bigger than -1? Yes. So it's going to print out the second, right, this word at slot 2 in the words array, which is camel. And then it's going to make I 3. Is 3 bigger than -1? Yep. So it's going to go through and do that. Then it's going to make 4. It's going to make I 4. Is 4 bigger than -1? Yep. What's the fourth thing in the word? What's the thing in slot 4 in the words array? No. Octothorpe is the thing in the 4 slot. And then it's going to make I 5, right? Is 5 bigger than -1?
Yes. It doesn't exist.
Yep, but there isn't a thing in the slot 5, so I expect this to kick me a error. Yeah.
So can you just make it so when I is bigger than 4, it resets to 0?
Totally. Yep. So let me try this. I expect this to kick an out of bounds error at 5. You guys all see that? Boom. Out of bounds exception, 5. It even highlighted the line where that happened. Let's go with that. So I might want some kind of a, I need to stop this. And then Drake says, well, can't you, like, if I gets to 5, reset it? So how do you do that? If what? If I equals 5, then what's it whining about? Yeah, I need curly braces for if statements, right? And if in good coding practice, I should indent the inside of your if. So what do I want it to do if I is 5? Reset I to 0. And then it's going to need a semicolon to actually do that. So now I expect that this will probably loop infinitely many times. Let's try it. Out of bounds exception 5.
Oh. Okay.
What happened?
It can't equal 5.
It got to trying to print the 5th thing, like the thing in the 5 slot, before I reset it, right?
Yeah.
So when did I want to reset it? After 4? Okay, now this is going to be a little bit weird. What do you expect this to do? I expect it to just keep printing out the contents of the array, right? So I'm going to launch this, and then I'm going to stop it so I can look at what's up here. So it printed a lot of copies, but do you guys see what I'm seeing?
Oh, it's
There's
not in
no
order.
giraffe.
Well, yeah, so it got stopped at a weird spot, right?
Oh, sure.
But principally, there is no giraffe. The giraffe has somehow fallen off of this particular wagon.
Oh.
Which, by the way, is the origin of the word Kartoffel.
A giraffe fell off the wagon.
Potatoes.
Yeah, so a Kartoffel is the German word for potato, and Offel is poop, and cart is cart. Potatoes are cart poop, because when the cart rolls down the street, it looks like it's pooping potatoes. At any rate, if I scroll all the way, it lost the top. I overflowed the console, so it stopped keeping track. But someplace way up at the top there's one giraffe. So what was the deal?
It's setting it to 0 and then starting the loop again, which has 1.
Yeah, so this command, right, of increasing I by 1 happens once it hits the end of the for loop. You guys see that? So when the 4 went in, I reset it to 0, and then it went up by 1.
So you want to set I to negative?
Yeah, so if I wanted this to work, I'd set I equals -1. It should be noted that this is not necessarily the most elegant way to do this.
Yeah, you can do it outside.
Yeah, doing it outside is much easier, but doing it in here gives me some nice practice with indices, right? So if I run this, now I expect it to print out infinitely many, and I need to stop.
Print line failed.
I realized.
Yeah, something went bad there. It was print lining, and
And then
then
it was just printing.
it hit some kind of limit. I don't quite know what.
It's because there's no point where it stops being on the same line.
No, the print line command should have had carriage returns in it.
Oh.
If you stop it fast enough, it still has the carriage returns. It's hitting some kind of overflow error. It should be noted, right? Infinite loops are weird. Sometimes weird things happen. Not necessarily because processing has weird things in it, but because processing is running in Windows. Right, so there's some strangeness. I'm going to comment this out. Let me play with this thing a little bit. So alternates for this. So instead of doing I equals I plus 1, You can do I plus equals 1. You can also do I equals plus 1. Don't sweat those. One increments before and the other one increments after. It shouldn't matter in this case. The easy one is I plus plus, which is just the standard for go up by 1, since we do that all the freaking time. I want to play with this a little bit too, because right now I had to count the number of things in the words array. And if I added 1, I would have to go change that. You guys remember I had a 5 in here earlier? So if I put in another thing, like lion. I thought lion was the next obvious thing after giraffe.
I thought llama.
Llama?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Llama, camel, sure, whatever. At any rate, if I run this now, what do I expect it to do? So 1, I expect it to go through the for loop only once, printing out all the things. Which spot is lion in? What's the index of lion? Yeah, it's in the 5 index spot. And I expect this thing to stop at less than 5. So this should stop at 4, right? You guys see that? So I expect this to print out all the things except lion. Oh, and also make a window. Dang it. Forgot that.
You weren't lying to us.
And I was not lying to you about the not printing of lion. So if you want to make it size dynamically, like so you don't have to go remember to change this line, arrays have a thing for that. So you do, the name of the array is words, dot, length. And the reason that you're getting at that is that the words thing, right, the array words, has a property that you can grab called length. So this is how we get it. If things have properties, God damn it, I don't have objects yet. There's a variable called an object. Some of them have properties. You can get at the properties of an object by writing dot whatever the variable name is that it has. So arrays have lengths, so you can get at the length by writing dot length. You guys note that I didn't do like string array dot length. I did the array's name dotted dot length.
It already knows it's.
Yeah, it already knows it's an array. So let me double check that I get lion out of that. Boss. I got lion out of it. Cool. Check. It should be noted that you will want to save this piece of, like this little block of code for later. I would save this in your whatever folder you put sketches in as this is how you print arrays. So that you can just copy and paste it out of here the next time you need it. Cool? Questions, Deals?
Are there any other properties to arrays?
Yes. Arrays have lots of little properties. Let's go check and see what they are. So if we go in here to, oh look, I still had the array thing open, right? And if I scroll down, there's array.length. Oh, and then it doesn't actually tell you any of the rest. Oh, look, it does tell you string.length is a thing you can do. Yeah, so note that there's a difference here. Array.length is a variable, meaning it's a property that the array has. String.length has empty parentheses after it. It says it's a method. What that means is that it's a thing that strings can do. Not a thing that they have, but a thing that they can do. So, yeah, exactly. This is an attribute, right? The length is an attribute. And the length for strings is a method. It returns how long the string is. It does essentially the same thing, but it's a slightly different object, so it's worth mentioning. There's a, let's see, there's an append thing for arrays. Okay, so this is a thing you can do to arrays. You guys see that? It's not like a property arrays have, but it's a thing that can take an array. You guys cool with that? There's a bunch of these. There's a bunch of methods that have arrays as one of the arguments. It seems like, according to the API, that the only property, right, the only variable that arrays have is this length thing. I thought I found another one, but I could be wrong. Cool? Questions, Steels? Okay.